Hey guys, I'm Christopher and welcome to this, the 11th episode of Christopher, Barons of Gaming. So this is a very special episode number 11, because I'm joined in the studio this time by my Barons of Gaming co-host, John.
Hi guys, so this is a bit of a rarity because for those of you that don't know, Christopher and I have got quite a lot of a geographical distance between us.
That's right, I'm in Adelaide, he's in Brisbane.
Yeah, so this is a special episode.
It is, it's very special indeed. Now we're going to be basing most of our stuff this time around The Sims 4. Now this game came out a couple of weeks ago now. We've both had a chance to have a look at it, so here it is.
Welcome to a world full of exceptional Sims. Smarter, with big personalities, who every day collide and connect. They are yours to create and control. Their stories are yours to tell.
So we've both had a bit of a chance to look at this game, and compared to the last one, as in The Sims 3, I think there are some definite improvements. I'm finding that the graphics of the game are really fantastic. I'm finding that the emotions of the characters are absolutely fantastic as well.
Certainly, you know, something that I think they've really changed, Christopher, from the last one, and, you know, I think you guys will notice too, is the creator sim. I found that it worked this time, whereas last time, you know, it was quite clunky, and I guess, you know, I just felt like they didn't sort of get things right with it last time. And this time, you've got the opportunity, you can grab certain, you know, body parts, and then you can, you know, manipulate them and things like that. So
I completely agree, especially being the base model of the game, because you could do a bit more tweaking in The Sims 3 towards the end of all the expansion packs, but you had to have all those, and that's a pretty pricey investment.
That's right. You know, so I think, you know, as far as The Sims 4 goes, it's got that down pat. It has.
I've got to say though, coming from The Sims 3, which had so much in it when you had the final game, keeping in mind about 25 thereabouts gigabytes, takes up a lot of space, and it really was quite broken in the way that it had to run all that at the same time. But I've got to say, in The Sims 4, I'm really missing my weather, and I'm really missing my pets.
Definitely, you know, and that's what I've sort of noticed. I feel like The Sims 3, you had a little bit more, I don't know, you know, you could see your character, your sim, go to work, and you had a lot more interaction, and I feel like in The Sims 4 they've kind of missed out on a little bit of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's sort of set in the way that you have one house and you're in that one building as such. You can go into the grounds and maybe a little area around the outside, but then if you want to travel at all, you actually have to reload up that game. Now, I think maybe that might be a positive thing. Maybe that means that the game itself will run more efficiently, but in saying that, maybe it means that it's sort of just a bit of a cop-out. And as you say, when you go to work, it just goes, this person's at work, and you can't do anything. And if you've got only one character, it means that you just have to sit there while they're at work and do absolutely nothing. Because of course, if you decide you want to build something, it stops time.
That's right.
So all you can do is wait.
And I do find that, Christopher, you know, that I'm constantly fast forwarding and then back to play. And I never really played The Sims 3 like that. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. I like the fact that you brought up the smoothness of the game. Well, that it may run smoother, because I've found, certainly while I've been on holidays, I've been playing it on the laptop, and it's certainly running, you know, much better than The Sims 3.
Absolutely. And look, I think that a couple of other positive things are the fact that you can do more than one task at the same time. So for instance, you can watch TV and learn at the same time, or you can be cooking and talking to someone else at the same time and gain both positive things at the same time. Building relationships I find is a lot harder, a lot more technical. You really have to find out what the character you're talking to likes, what are their dislikes, and really get in there and make a conversation. It's not like in The Sims 3 where you just had to push and push and push and push. But no, look, I've got to say that this is a good Sims game. I really am enjoying it. A couple of things, a couple of niggles here and there, but really in general it's okay. Believe it or not, one of the things that's frustrating me is that it's not internet based. Now, I know you're going to say, everyone's going to say, what are you talking about? For God's sake, you know, the SimCity, for instance, SimCity 5 is locked or was locked on the internet, and that was really frustrating, except for the fact that when you go from computer to computer, you can bring up your previous save and just continue. Now, I've got this game at the moment on my MacBook Pro, not on Mac, running Windows 8.1, and on my big gaming rig doing 8.1 as well, and I have to have two separate games. I can't have the same continuous game, and I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to be able to have my save there.
Certainly, yeah, I think cloud saves probably, I think that may come into the picture a little bit later. I think that this game has certainly been geared up for expansions.
Oh, yeah.
Plus.
It is very, very small. It is a terribly small game. Keeping in mind, there are no shops. There's a library, there's a museum, there's a gym, and there's a nightclub, and that is it outside of the housing. If you actually zoom the map right back, you can actually see other houses, other suburbs as such, but they're not accessible at this time. And I'm finding that a bit strange because I know that for me, in The Sims 3, towards the end, I had a huge hamlet, town, whatever you want to call it, with bustling shops and schools and cemeteries and all sorts of things.
I know, cemeteries and just the simple fact that the swimming pools are sort of missing.
Yeah, there are no swimming pools. And one of the things I wanted to do was to have, I like to have a spa. I couldn't do that.
Certainly, a big mansion with a spa, little pool, and there's no cars.
No, there aren't any cars. Again, I reckon they're going to release a downloadable, really expensive pack which says motor vehicles or something like that at a further stage. But I just really hope that they do it better than The Sims 3 with the add-ons, so that instead of it being just an add-on which takes up RAM, it actually works into the game and builds correctly. That's what I want to see.
I think you're right, Christopher, and that's what I'd really like to see. At this point, I think I'm a little bit worried because I feel that we already have The Sims 3. And, yes, I think it runs a little bit smoother and it does build upon some things because I really do like, their emotions now. I think that has worked into their favour with this. And I can see that they've done a lot of work behind the engine and behind the gameplay.
Oh, absolutely. And look, I've got to say that I really do like the characters. I like the fact that you really do sort of fall in love with your sim. You begin to care about them. And I like the tantrums they have. The emotions are great.
Yeah.
And I've just got to say, again, I know I've already mentioned that, but I like the fact that your sim just has a tantrum.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you why, what you have to do to fix that. And I just find that's really good.
Absolutely.
But, overall, so far, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Very good. Well, the next game we're going to talk about is the most expensive game ever produced, $500 million, and that is Destiny. Well, I've had a chance to play this game. I don't think you have yet, have you, John?
No, Christopher. So I've been on holidays, of course, and missed the release and
right.
Unfortunately, all the hype. But I've certainly, it's on my radar, and I'm really interested in this one.
Absolutely. Now, look, I've got to say that with me, I am finding it a little bit frustrating because I have this issue, which I've spoken about before on the podcast, which is if you buy a game which is multiplayer only, it's multiplayer only. It shouldn't be full priced. It's not a full game. You're only getting half of it. This is a full price game which is only multiplayer. Now, people may argue that it is a single player game, but I would say that it's very much in the field of Titanfall, being somebody sort of telling you what to do is the campaign with multiplayer people. Overall, I played through the whole training mission and a few other things as well. I find that it's not too bad. It doesn't look fantastic graphically. So it's not quite as good as I thought it would be.
It does have a fairly unique art style, though,
it does,
it, Christopher?
yeah.
You know,
it does. And look, one of the drawbacks for me was the fact that it comes up with numbers every time you shoot somebody, so it tells you how many points you've gained. Very arcadey like that. And I think that's because they're really going for the MMO sort of style, very much in the way that the Elder Scrolls Online has, for instance, with when you're in the sort of lobby area, you can see all the other characters or other players as such standing there, jumping up and down and doing their things as they did in the Elder Scrolls Online. It always
looks a little bit odd, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and a little bit comical when you see that.
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, for me, that's where I sort of went, oh, hang on a second. But I haven't played enough of it really to say more than I can now. But, you know, I really like the introduction from Bill Nye. Thought that was really good. That's actually, I heard that his voice and went, I really like Bill Nye. And I heard his voice and went, wow, I'm going to like this now.
Yeah.
And the idea of it is really good, I think. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But I will say again, I think we need to do something about the fact that if a game is multiplayer only, and that means if it has to be online all the time with other players, that's a multiplayer only game. You know, this shouldn't be a full price game. It should be $40 to $50, I think, maybe $40 to $60. But really not much more than that, because you're not getting a full campaign. And again, as far as I'm concerned, a campaign is the main thing of the game. The multiplayer is tacked on, and the multiplayer might produce the most playability, as in, let's say, like GTA 5, for instance. Once you finish the game, yeah, it's great fun to go back and do it again and again, like I've done, and you've done as well.
Yeah.
But the online stuff will just keep on going and going. But in saying that, maybe it's a bad example, because with the Rockstar online games, it's very much sort of a much of muchness, if you understand what I mean, in the way that you can play by yourself or with other people, and you really do have that option.
You certainly do, don't you, Christopher?
Yeah.
I guess we're just lucky they didn't tack on the subscription fee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely, and look, that's a positive about it being on the consoles, I think, because I think the consoles have really had to fight to stop that.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell, but still, it's worth a go. If you like your online, basically massively multiplayer sort of games, I reckon you'll probably like this game quite a lot.
I am a little intrigued, though, Christopher. I mean, coming from Team Bungie, basically.
Yes.
Do you get the Halo feel with this one?
I get the Halo feel from it. I get the Marathon feel from it. I get all the Bungie things from it. I find that the Bungie art style has been around for a long time, and it really hasn't changed very much.
No, that's right. I think they just, add to the formula each time.
They do. And that's okay. That's what they do, and it works really, really well. I played this on PlayStation 4, and I think it looks all right. I think that it could be better, and that's one of the things I've come across quite a lot with next-gen games, is my expectations are maybe a bit too high. Yeah. But when you have $500 million to spend, you get your things right the first time.
That's right.
Well, we're nearly out of time now, but we're going to talk about one last game, which is an oldie but a goodie, and it is for adults only. So if you're very, very young right now, sort of maybe time to turn away for a couple of minutes. But this game is the Playboy Mansion. Now, the reason why we've mentioned this game for this episode is the fact that The Sims 4 has arrived, and this is basically The Sims, but the adult version of. Now, I loved this game from 2005. It had such a good story, and I know people are going to go, oh no, it's only just to do with sex. No, it's not. You have to actually build up the Playboy business. You start off in the 1950s, and you hire a photographer, and you start off really small, and you get really dodgy models, and you have to get them to pose and take their photographs, and then publish the magazine and try and get an interesting person to be in that month's magazine. Yeah. And you might sell 25 copies and make a little bit of money, so then you use that money to go in and make a bigger magazine. You end up at the end, you get $30 million per magazine, and then you can do bigger and better things. And I love this. And it wasn't just that, but you then had to have parties each month as well, and you had to...
I know, it's a full-time job.
It is, absolutely, yeah.
The Playboy Mansion, running the show.
That's right.
Really
well, that's exactly right. And I found that, just from memory here, but this game, I love the fact that, let's say Tom Arnold's one of the people who's in it, and he lends his character to it, or his caricature, and you have to sort of get him in, invite him to one of the Playboy parties, and sort of schmooze up with him a little bit and convince him to come and have an interview. So you get a journalist to give an interview, take a few photographs, and there you sell your magazine. And this, for me, was really good. And the thing that made me think of it was that at a certain point you got a grotto, which was basically a big spa built into sort of a stone wall sort of thing. And that was so cool. And where is that in The Sims 4? I want to see that.
I want to see that too.
Yeah. The other thing this game had, which The Sims doesn't, is it did have quite a lot of graphic sex. Although
certainly there was no mosaic there.
No, they didn't.
Covering things
they didn't
up.
take their pants off, but you definitely saw top halves. But it was done in quite a tasteful, semi-tasteful way.
And I think, with that graphic style that they went for, it really wasn't offensive.
No, it wasn't. And it was rated MA for a reason, obviously, but it wasn't over the top. It had a great sense of humour, and if you've still got a PlayStation 2...
It is also available on PC, but it's very hard to find.
Yeah, but if you can find it, this one's definitely worth a go, because it's just a bit of fun, and you'll think it's great, really. It really was a great game, both for guys and girls. Keeping in mind, as I said, it's not a sex-based game. You think it probably is, because there are sex scenes in it.
And I think that was probably a little bit why it didn't sell so well.
Yeah, because everyone thought that's what it was.
People sort of put it into this category, and it actually wasn't really that category. It's
absolutely.
It's a sim management game.
It is definitely a sim management game, and more so than The Sims, actually.
Yeah.
Because you actually are running a business, and you have to deal with the finances of that business and make sure everything is running smoothly and correctly. Otherwise, the whole thing just collapses. But this is a great game, and I just got to say that I really, really like it, and I miss it. I wish they'd make another one, because it was just such fun. It was such fun, and back then people could make games, and have them a bit risque, and know that they wouldn't just get chucked out, because I suppose games weren't sort of so widespread.
No.
But also, I think people had a sense of humour back then.
Yeah.
Well, you can find Christopher Barons of Gaming on lots of social networks now, as well as John Barons of Gaming, actually, and the Barons of Gaming podcast as well. So, on Instagram, you can find me at Christopher Barons of Gaming. You can find John at John Barons of Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come on, guys, you can do this. I want to get up to 1,000 people on Instagram. You can find our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Barons of Gaming, where I've got to say, at the moment, there are some photographs up on there because I had a press pass for the Colour Run Adelaide this year, and I've taken a big stack of photographs. Have a look at them, like them, share them, It's all for charity, so it's a really positive thing. You can also find us on our website, which is www.baronsofgaming.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments with Christopher Barons of Gaming on my YouTube right down here. Okay, well that just about does it for the 11th special episode of Christopher Barons of Gaming. I'd like to thank my special guest host, John, from the Barons of Gaming.
And thank you, Christopher, for having me on the show.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, I just have one last thing to say, which is, keep on gaming.
Keep on gaming.